All right, everyone. We're back with another episode of the Santa Fe Gloom podcast. Today we've got Marcos Zubia. Marcos, thanks for jumping on today.
Yeah, thank you, David. Appreciate it.
And of course, want to thank our sponsors. We've got Mercedes-Benz of Santa Fe, Capital Ford, City of Santa Fe Economic Development, Pantry Dose, and our new sponsor, Botwin iGroup. Thank you so very much for all the generous support and believing in the vision of the Santa Fe Gloom. So, Marcos, thanks, man. This is a long time coming. Thank you so much for what you do for our community. So let's definitely jump in. Tell us about your first memories of growing up in Santa Fe. You're
Yeah,
born and raised Santa Fe, and so start us off there.
yeah. Well, David, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for what you do for our community. Um, yeah, I always say I'm one of the very few, right, locals that never left, but I'm because I've been afforded so many opportunities and just very grateful to be a part of this community and from Santa Fe. And one of the things that I always remember about my childhood in Santa Fe is just how unique my upbringing was because you really felt part of a community, right? I think that one of the things that's really unique about Santa Fe is that we are a community, and we're a community of gente, right? Of people that work together to really help one another achieve success and support each other in wherever path that we go. And that's I think one of the things that I remember about my childhood was just always feeling that sense of love and unity and community. I think those were the three things that I would say I remember about my childhood in Santa Fe.
And talk us through high school
Yeah.
and Esperanza Shelter, your ties there.
Mhm.
Talk us through those experiences and how you became a community leader.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to a little bit about my childhood, I'm a product of Esperanza Shelter. So my mother and I, we lived in the shelter when I was 7, and so I went through that, through that program, and essentially Esperanza saved and forever changed my life. And so, one of the things that I'm just grateful for is that in high school, I had an opportunity to be a part of the job shadowing program at Capitol High School. So I'm a Jaguar, which is runs deep in me. I believe Turquoise. I know, David, you feel a little differently, um, but I'm just very grateful that at the time when I was in high school, I actually was given the opportunity to be the kind of beginning of launching a full job shadowing program. And really, I signed up because it got me off campus as a junior, right? Like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was off campus, and it was going to be one of those cool things that I was able to do. And I was fortunate that at the time, Mary Chavez, who was one of my mentors in my career and in my life, was the branch manager at First National Bank of Santa Fe. And so she agreed for me to come on staff to be a teller in the afternoon, but also to do the job shadowing. So I got to shadow many different departments within the banking industry. Like I got to attend like human resources meetings. I got to attend ALCO meetings, which is like where they come and they bring these commercial loans to a committee that reviews the risk for the bank and so forth. And I also got to shadow jobs that I know I definitely didn't want to be, which was the president of the bank, right? And those difficult decisions that they had to make. So I just had so many opportunities within the banking industry that's ultimately what led me to stay in Santa Fe. Um, I was able to go to school here. I went to the community college, and First National paid for all of my schooling, while I was able to maintain a full-time job with the bank. And I climbed the ladder from there. I was a teller. I was an operations manager. I was a banker. I did mortgages. I was a vice president for the bank and a branch manager. But during that time, I also started to get involved in the community. And one of the ways that I got involved was, through Esperanza Shelter, because, like I mentioned, I lived in the shelter when I was 7, and so it was an opportunity for me to give back to the organization that changed my life. And so I joined as a volunteer and did volunteer work. Then they asked me to be on the board. I had no idea what that entailed. And then I was asked to become the board president. and and then it was just an opportunity again for me to help bring a different perspective as a former client of the organization, somebody that's lived here my entire life, and to lead the board through some difficult decisions, and a difficult financial path with the organization. But I was able to help just bring more of a business perspective as well as influence people in wanting to give to the organization. So that's a little bit about my life there.
And when you were getting those internships, how old were you? You spoke about just that opportunity that you were afforded. How
Yeah,
old?
I was 16.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think that's one thing that uh, we see in a lot of our leaders here in the community is that in order to give back, we've got to have those touch points with the younger groups, right?
right.
The younger age, the
Absolutely.
younger ages, right? So um, I think that's another conversation that we had when I first met you was developing like a young professionals associations. Just how do we get our 20-year-olds to be in their 40s and 50s as directors of St. Vincent's Foundation, for example,
Yeah,
right? So I remember those were our first conversations that you and I had.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's so true because it's all about role models. It's all about who you're with, right? When you're in your early stages of life and who you're looking up to, and the accessibility that you have to a Marco Zubia now,
yeah,
right? So I think those are all like just huge touch points that we have to constantly give back to our community.
yeah,
You were one of the inspirations for the 40 and to 40 Business Leaders Awards through the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. You were one of the board members. And again, you inspired me to kind of create these environments for our young professionals to say, I can make it in Santa Fe. I can be recognized. I can go to the community, or I can start off at Capital, Santa Fe High School, public school, go through the path of community college, find those internships, find employment, be recognized through the 40 under 40 Business Leaders Awards, and become a leader. So you're a perfect example of all of those checkpoints and those paths. So congratulations on that. I mean, I think that's super huge. Um, and I do see your plaque behind you.
yeah,
So that was super cool.
yeah. That
So
was.
thank you so much for coming out to our Gloom game this last Saturday. Give us some perspective of what you thought you were walking into, in terms of just your expectations, and did the Santa Fe Gloom meet those expectations and just the sight and sounds of that game?
Yeah. Well, just to comment a little bit about what you said, I mean, you really are an inspiration, for our community, David. I think, when you and I met and we talked about all of these opportunities that we need to recognize young professionals in our community, and how do we do that? You really took that concept and made it become a reality, right? I think it was a pipeline dream for both of us.
Mhm.
Especially growing up, in Santa Fe. I'm from, I'm the barrio kid from Lower Agua Fria, like to be able to have been afforded so many opportunities and an opportunity to be recognized for things that I've done in my community. I think, you really helped make that dream of trying to recognize our young professionals and kids in our community and show them that there is opportunity. There's opportunity for us to be more than just that young barrio kid, right? Or that we have these dreams and aspirations. And you're a prime example of somebody that I've never met anybody like you, in the sense that you just kind of put that foot to the metal and you make things happen and you make things a reality. So thank you for doing
Yeah.
that. But one of the things I remember you telling me to come to the game, and I was like, I've never really, I've seen soccer, but I've never really been, to a game, and so I didn't even know what to expect. I thought you maybe would only have, I don't know, a handful of people there, because I know Santa Fe Gloom is new to the community, but I also know that when you do things very, very passionately, and you do things
Mhm.
big. I've never known you to do something small.
Mhm.
So honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I'm gonna be honest. I even was like, you better not make me get like in the middle of the dance floor and like start having to dance or show my skills. Yeah, because I know what you would have done to me. But anyhow, it was actually really cool because I took my family. So I have an almost 11-year-old son and a 13-month-old daughter, my wife, and we went, and the amount of, I don't know, it was like the energy, the synergy, again, going back to that family, the community, like you just felt that the minute you walked into Santa Fe High School, to the gym there, you just kind of felt that from everybody. Everybody was there to not only cheer on the Santa Fe Gloom players, but they were there with their families, and they were there, cheering each other on. I mean, I ran into people I haven't seen in a long time, which is really cool, people that I went to high school with. And I also saw that in the stands. So I just thought that, that was probably the coolest factor. Of course, the game was awesome,
Yeah.
and I know it was an intense game. I know you were stressed a little bit, um, but it just that energy and that synergy of just being around community and family, and I just thought you could just feel it. It was really cool. The love that people have for our community, for the Santa Fe Gloom, and I just thought that was the coolest part. It was really inspirational, I guess you could say.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think one thing that we've always kind of talked about too, and I think that it's like kind of true and kind of not, is a lot of kids and young people in our city say, well, there's nothing to do here.
Yeah.
Right. They
Agreed.
always say, like, what's there to do? They say, well, we got to go to Albuquerque.
Mhm.
Right. So I know those are conversations we've always had. And again, that's what inspired us to do the 40 under 40. Right.
Right.
And also to have a Saturday night where you can go out and have fun and cheer on a local team.
Right.
Right.
And it's
So
free on top of that.
yes, exactly. So I think that's a great point. Is we want to make sure everyone's able to be here and to watch the games,
Right.
right? So you're bringing out the kids, you're bringing out the family, and you're seeing these local players play for our city.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, no one's got any excuses not to come out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and the music was like hopping. It was like a dance party in there, which was really cool. Like I said,
yeah,
it was entertaining. And I mean, if you think about even a family of four, I mean, and then my daughter, right? I mean, she's 13 months old. Like every place you go to, a lot of times you still have to pay for a baby. And I mean, it was really cool
big.
because it was an opportunity to just bring people to one place, have a good time. It's free. There's snacks. There's great food. The music was amazing. The
Yeah,
game was awesome. And it was just it was really fun. We enjoyed ourselves.
yeah, no, exactly. Talk us through the St. Vincent's Hospital Foundation and
Yeah,
your role there and upcoming events, and also kind of touch on the importance of having events in our city.
yeah,
Because again, younger kids are saying there's nothing to do, right?
right, right.
But now, we can have a sports team just like the Fuego, right? So now we can go to baseball games in the spring and summer. In the wintertime, we can go to Santa Fe Gloom games. So tell
Yeah,
us a little bit about what Santa Fe or the St. Vincent Hospital Foundation also has to offer in terms of events and all the great things you guys
yeah.
are doing for the community.
Yeah, definitely. So my role is the chief development officer. So I oversee the foundation. And what it is, the foundation is the philanthropic arm of Christus St. Vincent. And so we fundraise for the hospital, right? And I know there's always this kind of misconception out there that hospitals have all kinds of money, right? And they don't need fundraising. But in fact, they really do. I mean, Christus St. Vincent is a nonprofit hospital.
Yeah.
And so, let's really just be honest, like insurance doesn't pay for everything, and if we want our healthcare system to thrive and we want it to provide exceptional healthcare, we need people to support the hospital through the foundation. And so we provide opportunities to be able to support the hospital to ensure the legacy of healthcare for our kids, David. I mean, our grandkids, right, at some point. And us when we get older, right? We're going to want a reliable healthcare system. And so the foundation really works with community partners, the community at large, individuals, people who want to give back to the hospital through providing money essentially, or foundation. Foundation is there to accept that, and then we give it back to the hospital. So one of the unique things about us is that we have 4 people on staff, which includes me. We are actually hospital employees. So our salaries, our benefits, all of our overhead costs, the hospital pays that. And so really, truly, our money, 100% of the money that we raise goes back to the hospital to support initiatives. I mean, one of the biggest things that we're doing right now is providing the support for our cancer center. As you are well aware, the hospital is building a 80,000 square foot regional cancer center, and we're in the midst of a capital campaign to support those efforts. So our goal is to raise $10 million And so, we do that through a variety of different initiatives. Whether it's hosting events or it's engaging with people who want to give to support the build of the cancer center. Our internal associates, so the hospital employs 2,500 employees. There's opportunities for them to give through their payroll deductions. Every 2 weeks they can give $1, $5, $10, whatever that looks like, to support not only the cancer center but everything that the hospital is doing. You mentioned about events and what we're trying to do to bring the community together.
Mhm.
We have a really cool inaugural event coming up. It's called Walk for a Hug. It'll be on May 18th at the Violenda Mall Park from 9 to 1. And what it is it's a 5K, so you can run, you can walk, you can jog, you can do whatever you want. But it's really a community event that's going to bring the community together to support our Hugs program, which is our high utilizers. Basically, those patients in our community members. I mean, they're part of our community that are dealing with mental, behavioral health issues. They may be struggling with some sort of substance addiction, alcohol, drugs, those types of things. And what it is many of those patients are coming to the emergency room for a hot meal. Sometimes it's for just a room to sleep in. And so this walk is to support that program. And what the goal is to really keep them from coming to the emergency room, because the emergency room really is for true emergencies, right? God forbid somebody's in an accident. We need rooms available to support those community members. So with our high utilizers, we have a group of case workers that work directly with those patients. Sometimes they're meeting them, at Target. Sometimes they're meeting them in Arroyo. Sometimes they're just meeting them in the community and really trying to help them get a primary care doctor, getting them resources with finding sustainable housing for them. Maybe they need to work with, maybe it's like the Food Depot to get a meal, or Kitchen Angels. And so those caseworkers really work with them. A lot of times they need stabilization with their medications, and we work with them to try to figure out how can we ensure that they're constantly getting the meds that they really need, that are prescribed, as well as ensuring that they're, being productive in our community. And so the walk really is to support that program. And so it's an opportunity, again, to bring the community together. It's a community event. We're going to have several vendors, community organizations. We're going to have booths of information there. We're going to have the Capitol High School cheerleader team. They're going to be there cheering people on. We're going to have entertainment. We're going to have fusion tacos there. And it's really just, again, a day for us to bring people together. Sam's Club is a huge partner of ours, as well as Albertsons. They're all going to be out there. Their workers are going to be out there too, volunteering, which will be really cool. And we'll start at the Violenda Mall Park. They'll walk the Arroyo Chamizo Trail up to the Monica Lucera Park, and then turn back around, and that's 5K. And again, all the money raised goes to support the Hugs program.
And let me ask you this. So it's so much great information.
Yeah.
My question is, why do you do it? Like, deep down inside, from your experiences of growing up here in Santa Fe, why are these things important, and why are you so passionate about it?
It's a great question, David. For me, again, I have been just afforded so many opportunities in my life, and I'm just eternally and forever grateful for that. And if there's anything that I'm passionate about, it's really paying it forward, right? And it's really about building on a community that I truly love being, from Santa Fe.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it a blessing that I can say I'm a local that has never left, because I've been in those, I've been in opportunities, or I've been in, I've grown up, where my mom was living paycheck to paycheck. She worked at La Fonda for 43 years. I saw my mom struggle. My dad was, an alcoholic, and we went through the program. And if it wasn't for Esperanza, which is a community organization, who knows where I would be right now, right? Who knows the type of relationship I would have with my wife and my two kids. And so for me, I think it's that passion of wanting to continue to make our community better and continue to make the community thrive, and to be a community for all, whether you're living on the south side or the north side, or you just moved from Santa Fe. I think we collectively can work together to be a community, to serve the needs of the community. And the way to do that is really being a part of the community, or in the community, I guess you can say. And for me, that's really what my why is. And that's what's an inspiration for me. Is like, I want to make sure that we have exceptional healthcare. And how do we do that? It's like, okay, these are the many different ways we can do that. I want to make sure that we have opportunities for young professionals, and that's with your efforts with the 40 under 40, but also Santa Fe Gloom and everything else that you've done. We're a community, and I think that that's what inspires me every single day. Is I want to give back to that community that, again, afforded me so many opportunities.
Yeah. It's great, Marcos. I mean, that story is just unbelievable. I mean, you started from essentially nothing, right, to one of the most prestigious jobs in our city. So it's incredible, and incorporating everything at your event, and also Capitol High School. When we were developing the logo, they said, it's very similar to Capitol
It
High,
is.
right? And I said, I love it, because we want Capitol High School. We want those kids to be like, you know what, like I can wear my Jaguar uniform, or their swag to our games, right? So we wanted to.
Am I going to see you in a Jaguar swag?
Yeah, I will. Definitely.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I'm a demon first and foremost, for sure. But I also went to Capitol
Right.
in freshman year.
Yeah,
And
I
all my
remember
best
telling you
friends
that.
went to Capitol.
Yeah.
And they won state basketball. I think in 2004, 3.
Right. Yeah.
So and then my brother went to Capitol.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I'm definitely a demon. But I mean, incorporating all of those
For
community
sure.
people, I mean, that's what makes the world go around, and that's what makes our community best.
Absolutely.
I know one teaser is I definitely hope to have, Capitol High School boys, girls, and Santa Fe High School boys and girls to play each other before our Gloom games.
That would be
Right.
awesome. Yeah.
So again, that's bringing the community together.
Yeah.
So fast forward 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see Santa Fe being like for your kiddos? When they're, let's say 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
Are they staying in Santa Fe? Are they able to afford being in Santa Fe? Because at the moment when we grew up, we were able to afford Santa Fe.
Right.
And we purchased our homes maybe before COVID,
Yeah.
right? Where it was like somewhat affordable. We can make ends meet. Now it's a little harder climb.
For sure.
So just what do you think our community needs to do to pave that path to say, yes, our kids can stay here, and that when we're grandparents, that we're here too?
Yeah.
And I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to get your insight, being that you're born and raised here in Santa Fe and you do have a family. And I think that's the $1 million question is how do we keep all of our talented young people here in Santa Fe, and how do we bring other talented young people to Santa Fe?
Yeah, that is the $1 million question. However, one of the things that I hope that we can really get back to is the core of who we are, right? The core of being a community. How can we create a sustainable community that's going to afford opportunities for others to be able to either live or move here, essentially? When I think about my kids, my son will be 11 this year, and so in 7 years, essentially he'll be 18, right? And so my hope is that we are much more in tune to the needs of our community. If I'm going to be very frank, I think that that's something that we need to really get back to, is figuring out how can we work together to create, affordable housing. And I know affordable is the word that we always try to, that is used a lot, right? It's one of those terms that I think people really use, but really creating affordable housing really is how can we get back to the core of who we are as Santa Feans and who we are as a community. And that's, getting infrastructure in place and, getting these opportunities like the Santa Fe Gloom, job creation, things like that are going to help our economic development thrive, where it's going to, when I think about Dominic, again, my son who will be 18 in 7 years, I want him to stay here because, again, there are opportunities out there. I'm again fortunate that I've had those opportunities, but in order to do that, I think as a community, we really need to start having those conversations about how can we really, create a sustainable community for generations to come, and really for our locals. Our locals are the ones that unfortunately can't afford to live here, and how can we work together, have those community conversations, get back to the core of who we are, and really figuring out, what are some economic development opportunities that we can create these jobs to keep everybody here. I mean, you think about the community college, it's such a great community college, but it's so underutilized. I mean, there's so many great trades, there's so many opportunities there. How can we, bridge that gap from even being in high school to keeping kids here to be able to go to community college while they're also working? Maybe it could just be paid internships. It could be, there's just so many opportunities that I think we just need to have the conversation and start having that conversation about the future of Santa Fe and what do we really want this community to be.
Does your son want to stay here in Santa Fe?
He does. He does. He definitely, one of the things about Dominic that I just really love about my son is that, he's definitely that old soul. And so he's one of those people that I really envision Dominic being, like in some sort of trade of some sort, like an engineer. He loves taking things apart and putting things together. And there's such a need for that here, there's so many people in those trades right now that are looking for that apprentice. And so my hope is that, when he gets, I think it's 14 that you can start working. I think it's like 14.
Get to work, boy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But it's like, what is it exactly that you want to do? And that we have, these organizations that want to give kids an opportunity. Again, I was 16 when I started working at the bank. And that forever changed my life, and I worked at La Fonda when I was 14, the minute I got my worker's permit. And, because people believed in giving, high schoolers an opportunity. And I hope that we can continue to do that. And I hope that that's what's going to inspire Dominic to stay here.
Right.
Yeah.
Marcos, thank you so much for your time. I know you're extremely busy. It was hard to even get you for the 30 minutes we're here.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, man. This is so many conversations that we've had in the past, either through the Hispanic Chamber, doing the 40 under 40 Business Leaders Awards, which I think, to my knowledge, is the biggest chamber event in the city.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this last year we drew, at least 400 people, right?
Yeah.
At least.
It was an amazing event.
Yeah, 450, maybe even 500, and naturally your last name Zubia, you were, I think, the last person called.
I don't know if people were cheering for me or actually cheering because they finally got through the 40. Who knows? But it was great. And it was just great to see so many people from the community coming out to celebrate young professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that again.
Yeah. No, I think, you inspired the entire committee to just make it bigger and better. Because I think the first year you were on our board, I believe, or even like the first 2 years, leading up to it, I guess 21, 22.
Yeah, correct.
And you help us put it together.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because, I went to other city leaders or even businesses and I pitched the idea of 40 under 40. First, I had to explain it. Like, what is 40 under 40, right?
Yeah. And then they're probably like, do we even have 40 young professionals here? Yeah.
That's it. That's what I got.
Yeah.
And obviously we do. Obviously.
Right, we do.
But that's the flack I got, right?
Yeah.
And so then I had to so then I would speak to you, and I'd be like, yeah, like we can do it. And now it's the biggest event. It's the biggest chamber event of the year.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
So I think it talks on perseverance and maybe a little bit of risk tolerance,
to
the people coming out and showing out to these events and the support that we got, and not only is it just in Santa Fe, but it's actually northern New Mexico.
Absolutely,
so we're sharing this with Espanola, Los Alamos, or smaller communities there. But it just goes to show that I think we could do more of these events,
for sure,
right? That's targeting those young professionals to bring people here again, right?
And I think, David, I think it goes back to my comment that you were willing to have that conversation with people, right? I think that's where we, really need to get back to, is having those conversations about these opportunities and, having the cojones to actually move forward with it and look at what it's become. And I'm excited to, how many did you have? In total, nominations, I guess.
Yeah, nominations. Yeah. So I think like the first year we had like over like 65, 70. And then this last year it was like 90 to like maybe even 100. Right. So it spread out even more because again, we were just like, this is what the 40 under 40 is.
Yeah.
And we had to explain it. Now this third year, I think we need to explain it less.
Yeah.
But to your point, you're saying that we do have those age groups.
We do.
Who are amazing into the community, but it took, so many conversations between our board and even our board, right?
Yeah.
Bless their hearts to some degree.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know if we can pull this off,
Yeah.
right? So I think the point is other community members who are in their 20s or who are looking at this podcast saying, I can make a difference in Santa Fe. You
Yeah.
definitely can if you have those community conversations and you just make that ask. You go up to our city leadership, you go to those business owners for sponsorship, and you'd be surprised on what you get. Again, it was tough to make those asks in the beginning because they were like, what is this? Who is this guy?
Right.
But now our third year, they're like, oh yeah, we heard about it. This
Yeah.
is great. We've done an amazing job marketing, right? And St. Vincent's is a sponsor of it. So thank you, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But it just goes to show that it's definitely possible. And I'm definitely not like the most perfect person for it, right? So that's where I'm trying to nurture other community members to be like, yeah, like I can do what Dave's doing, but I can even do it better.
Right.
So I think that's the main point of a lot of our conversations.
Absolutely.
We're just trying to pay that path
That's all we're
for
doing.
other people, right? And just to cut those trees down and to, make it smooth for like your kids.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it. That's what pumps me up is when it's over and it's like Marco Zubia and it's the 40th person. I'm like, we did it.
Thank God we're done.
Because it's so much work, and at the time, it was volunteer work for me,
right?
Because now I'm executive director, but and who has the time for that type of stuff as well?
Yeah.
Because especially younger Hispanic people, right? We either have kids, we're working full time. It's hard to take a committee meeting at 2:00 in the afternoon, right? So. Right. All of those things we were able just to get by. And that's thanks to our committees and our Hispanic chamber, to make that happen. Like yourself, and to block off an hour, once every 2 weeks to make these events happen.
Right.
So, but yeah, special thanks to you, man. Obviously continue to keep up the great work that you're doing. And we'll do it again and hopefully come out to more Santa Fe Gloom games.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the vision for that it's endless.
Yeah.
You spoke on so many great points in terms of just the vibe that the Santa Fe Gloom gives to people. And I think it's hope. I think it's like, what? Like, this is really cool. We can all cheer together on a Saturday night for the Gloom. And, we scored, I think, like our 5th goal. And the gym just like erupted.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so cool.
Yeah.
And then Chucky, our goalie, he saved a couple penalty kicks. Yeah. He's cheering. And it's just like, this is great. Like, this is how it should be in a community,
For sure. Yeah.
So
cheering one another on.
Exactly. 100%. So Marcos, thanks, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll have you on again. Thank you so much for everything.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.